Episode 2 of the May Online Poker Series, coming after the bloodbath that was the Sunday grind. I'm a little behind schedule this morning. Got up a little bit later than I would like to. Haven't done my study yet. Got a little bit of breakfast in. Yesterday was a long day. I got up at 6:30. I stopped editing at 12:30. So it was a long day. So I'm a little behind schedule this morning, but I'm ready to play. I feel like yesterday felt like I didn't play enough poker. You know, I think I played what I should have played, but I didn't have that feeling at the end of the Sunday like I was fatigued or like I had left it all on the table. But I played everything I should have. So I don't think I should have played more yesterday, but it did feel like, you know, it didn't feel like a Sunday where I played every single thing I could have and I couldn't have played any more poker, which is what I'm kind of used to on a Sunday, or at least sometimes. So all that to be said, I'm ready to play today. Can't wait to play some cards and hopefully get some day twos going or get some profit back in the right direction. So gonna get into the routine now. Let's get it, man. Day 2, big day of poker ahead. All right, so as we did yesterday, we're gonna be doing the daily drills, kicking off the session, just warming up the different aspects of the game, pre-flop, post-flop, different scenarios, in position, out of position, squeeze pots, running through all of those. Let's actually do the flatting and 3-betting quiz together. I find these to be pretty tough. So here we're facing a 4-bet with the King Jack suited. I'm gonna assume this is a call. That's a fold. So if we go to the range, so we're not really making light calls. Ace 10 suited, Ace 5 suited a little bit, Jack 10 suited. This is where it gets a little complicated with when you're looking at GTO 4-betting and stuff, is the combos can be very kind of tricky. You know, sometimes you'll get it where it's King Jack suited is a fold, but King 10 suited is a call just because of blockers. So yeah, this is another one where it's like, oh, King Jack suited, strong hand, but Jack 10 suited is actually the one that's going to be making the call, whereas these ones are going to be folding. Just has to do with blockers and whatever else. 7-8 suited folding, but 7-6 suited calling. 7-8 suited folding, 9-8 suited folding, but 6-5 suited calling. So you can see it's tricky. Queen 10, we limp, blind versus blind. They shove for 20, gonna be too weak. King Queen offsuit against a 4-bet. I'm gonna assume the offsuit combo is always folding. Let's see if any offsuit combos. I mean, Ace Queen does a bit of calling, but that's also folding a lot. The weaker suited combos are folding, and all the suited good stuff is sticking around. Another one where Queen Jack suited is folding, King 10 suited is folding, but Jack 10 and 10-9 are calling. Ace 6 suited against a shove, easy fold. 6-5 suited against a jam is going to be a fold. Against a non-all-in 4-bet, we saw a similar spot earlier, it would have been a call, but against an all-in, it's a fold. 6-4 against the min raise, we'll call. Yeah, against the min raise here, the gappers 5-3, 6-4, 7-5 do call, except for the absolute weakest ones. But as you can see, pretty sticky range. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. It's under the gun versus small blind. I do think this 6-5 suited, man, 6-5 suited I find just gets into a call so often. I could see it maybe doing both. I'm gonna go for the call. Yeah, so it does do both to be fair to myself, but it's definitely more of a fold than a call. Yeah, so. All right, well, not my best quiz so far. Let's go to the next question. Okay, thanks for the easy one. King 8 suited against a 3-bet. I'm gonna make the fold here, just under the gun versus MP. Very good. You can see the King 8, King 9. I might have done something with King 9, but yeah, Ace 6, Ace 7, Ace 8 usually get put into a fold. King 8, King 9, Queen 9, Jack 9. 8 2 suited. All right, so we get 8 out of 10. There's some tricky ones. There's some tricky 4-bets in there. The 4-bet quizzes I find are tough to implement, right? Because in reality, people's 4-bet ranges are not GTO and they're pretty far from GTO. So if you get kind of caught up in, oh, I got to call this hand every time against a 4-bet, you could be making some big mistakes against some tight players. So I think they're interesting to learn the theory, kind of see which hands are sticky. But yeah, those 4-bet ones, they're tricky. Just had day 2 of this 2:15 kickoff startup. We have a full session on the go, plenty of tables. See if we can actually build some stacks today. Not a good story for the day 2. We are out pretty early. Look at this hand where my opponent checked back the flop. I went for a small bet on the turn. They called. And then the river, I turned my hand into a bluff and bet 60% or close to 70%. They're gonna have like better 6x. They're gonna have a lot of 7x. They're gonna have some ace highs, some king highs, some like king queen with a spade, king jack with a spade. And you might say like, oh, you beat some of these hands, but the problem is they're gonna turn their hand into a bluff a lot of the time on the river, and we're gonna lose. So I think going for the bluff, targeting a 10, a 7, a 6, just avoid getting bluffed by the ace highs and king highs. But unfortunately, they had the straight with a spade, so they just have one of the best. They just have like the best hand that they can have there, basically. So shortly after, I had 10 big blinds in the small blind, shoved king 8 suited, and ran into an ace 10. So short-lived day 2. 2 hours into the session, feels pretty good. We have about 2,200 in buy-ins. And I was feeling a little unsettled when I started playing today. Like I wasn't quite as ready as yesterday, just because of the late night, the editing, just this new kind of schedule with everything. But yeah, I feel like I'm playing pretty well early. And I pretty much have 0 fatigue, so that's great. Shout out to my Twitch chat, keeping me company on these sessions. If you guys want to watch, I do stream these sessions live, so. Pocket jacks, get a 3-bet. Actually, we can shove here too. Probably more of my range wants to shove, covering both of these players. Oof, quads, there we go. We have 320, 320. 530, 109, 109, 109, 109, 150. Just suffered another nasty bubble here. 17 get paid. I got 20th place against the 9 deuce. All in pre. Just nasty. Nice. All right, got another day 2 stack for later this month. This one is going to be on the 27th. So we're going to forget about this stack for quite a while, and then randomly on the 27th, it's going to pop up. But it's a mystery bounty. You have like an okay stack. Looking forward to that. All right, for lunch, I'm having a little portion of chicken stew. Listen, I got to give credit. This is actually my mom's cooking. I'm somebody that I cook for myself and my girlfriend. We both cook, but this was not homemade. I visited my parents before the series, and I was like, you know what? Is there any chance like you could cook me some grind food, easy to make, just to make the weekend or the week easier? And yeah, so we got some mom's cooking, dude.
Quick detour, call. Final 18, win the flip, please. Ace Queen against Jacks in the 300. Can we win a flip of substance? Good turn for it. Wow, nice. All right, here we're hoping for Jacks, Ace King, or worse.
Okay, finally won a nice pot in a big tournament. Went for the raise with the aces. There was a call here and on the button. I started with a check, and then middle position actually led out here, which I thought was a little like kind of scary or polarized. You know, I didn't think they would lead out with like Jack 10 with the button still to act. I thought it was going to be more bluffy or strong. So because of that, I decided to just call. Turn was the 3, they kept betting, I kept calling, river was the queen, and they just kept firing, and I did not make the laydown, luckily, because they had 9-8 of clubs. So we now have a pretty good stack here, 66 out of 478 players in a bigger tournament. Five hours in, we have 3,800 in buy-ins, 340 in cashes. Just play the open shove and the PKO, especially with the huge stack in the big blind. They're incentivized to call very wide, so it's nice to just be all in. If this was a hand that really performed super well post-flop and we can cooler a lot of hands, then we'd rather take a post-flop. But ace-9 offsuit doesn't really fit that bill. All right, for another bounty in the 320, got the stack going. Ace-10. Okay, no ace, no 9, and we're cooking. Nice. That is a big bounty. 365 on their head, calling off the jacks. It's ace king, it's a flip. That'll do. Okay, 7 hours in now. I am definitely fatigued at this point. I think less from today and more from yesterday's long day. It was, you know, it was 11 hours of poker and then another couple hours of editing and what else, and then right back on the grind today. So I'm tired. So yeah, definitely some fatigue. Still have some good spots though. This is usually the part of the day where I would love to have a coffee, but I know it's gonna create a bad cycle, you know? I have a late coffee now just to play another couple hours, and then I can't get to bed and my sleep's even worse, so I'm even more tired tomorrow, which makes me want another coffee in the afternoon, and then another, and then another. So I tried to break that cycle. All right, 6 games left for the session. As it stands, we're down quite a bit, 4,500 in buy-ins, 387 in cashes. We have slightly more potential today. In the money of this 320, 41 out of 116 players with quite a few bounties. Still alive at a 215 and another 215. Don't expect this day to be as bad as yesterday, definitely, but still have quite a bit of work to do to make profit, but then also deal with yesterday's losses. Turbo. That short stack all in, they fold, which is fine. Nice. You know, it wasn't fun? Day one. Yeah, day one poker was not fun. Just made the money in this 215, 150K top 5 stack, entering the money. 347 min cash. It's gonna help out a little bit. I have been folding and folding and folding down to the final 40. I have 7 bigs. 750 in the cash, plus I think like 600 in bounties, so a decent score, but we need to spin this up for something sizable. Got nothing going, gonna be 27th for 1,500 bucks. So here is the last table for the day. Been playing for 8.5 hours. We are 21 out of 49 players left. First place, I mean, even the top 3 is all pretty juicy in this thing. It's a pretty slow structure, still a lot of play left, but if it goes well, it can go really well. As far as breaking even on the day, gonna need something like 2,500 bucks. That would bring us back to even. Pretty tired at this point, but you know, not too hard to one table at the end of the day. Just play solid and maybe get a nice run, save the day. Here we go. We got top pair with some backdoors. Nice. Okay, very controversial hand here on the stream. So 23 blinds, 25 blinds, we raise it up. We get call. Queen 9-7 multi-way flush board. Pretty ugly. Gonna start with a bet though. The thing with kings is that it doesn't mind if my opponents fold, and it can also get some value. It's one of those hands where, you know, we don't want to do a ton of betting here, probably multi-way, but kings is like, if they both fold, it's great, and if they call, we can still have the best hand. Even likely, we can have the best hand on a lot of turns and rivers, or at least one street. In position raises. Now, already with this board multi-way, I'm holding a good hand, but not a monster. And versus in position raise, like, we kind of have to ask ourselves, like, are people raising like Jack 10 to get it in without hearts? Are they raising King Jack offsuit with a heart and then like calling or folding? There's not a lot of very natural bluff raises on a board like this, especially with the big blind still to act, right? So, I mean, like, even a hand like ace queen with a heart is a really nice call. Ace queen with a heart can always get to the river, keep the hands that the big blind has in dominated. Hands like king queen with a heart. These hands, like, I would say for like 95% of players are just calls. So their raising range is just super scary. It's either like the ace of hearts solo, which is also just calling mainly, or I think it's probably like a queen 9, or it's a pocket 7s, it's a pocket 9s, it's just a flush. Like, these are the hands that I could really see like wanting to put in a flop raise. So with that in mind, like with the ICM at play and like this in position raise, just let it go. Just let it go. I mean, kind of controversial on the stream, at least, like folding kings with that big of a stack. It's really easy to just shove the flop and like kind of hope that they have just like a random queen or king queen or something. But honestly, somewhere deep down, I feel like I made a really nice fold there. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm somewhat comfortable with it. This was the next hand that caused us some problems. Bet the turn with the open-ended straight flush after check on the flop and another check. So on the turn, after all these checks, it's really nice to start bluffing 7 high, because anything that really folds is a win, and if they don't fold, we have a really nice draw. Even if we get raised, we have the appropriate equity to stick around and then maybe bluff. So really nice bluff here on the turn. They do find the raise, so they're kind of repping a 5 here, or maybe one of their own draws or bluffs, just putting pressure on my draws, or basically my draws, or maybe a thinner bet with a 10 or an 8. So we call and we find the flush 10 river. So we unfortunately lose to any 5 now. But we're beating, 7-9, Jack 9, any clubs, their own 6-7 of diamonds, like whatever, right? We're beating all these hands, and they go for another small bet. So, I mean, in my head, if it's a 5 or one of those random hands, we're getting such a good price. There's a chance that they just bet some 5x on the turn. It was a good enough price for me to see what they had, and not surprisingly, they did have a 5 for the block, so. Okay, final 18, we're in last place.
Not a hero fold to be making. Could see some calls. I mean, I got a lot of chips. Good flop. Chat. Chat, I'm 10 hours into another losing session. Please hold. No, I could be losing. I have moderate expectations here. Yeah. What the? What? We just don't mind picking up kings. 5.5 blinds. When you're this short, you don't have to do anything sneaky. Oh my freaking goodness.
All right, session 2 recap. Today was close. It was a lot closer than yesterday. Yesterday, I mean, you guys saw it. What a crazy start to the series yesterday was, but today was closer. Actually had a couple of deep runs. Just got 15th in a tournament where first place was 36,000. And I was in second in chips before a cooler and then a couple of weird pots. Made some hero plays. Who knows if those were right or wrong, but yeah, I was second out of 40 players left. Ended up getting 15th. In that 320 earlier, I got 50th. First place would have been around 40K. So at least I got kind of in position today. I had more cashes. Obviously didn't lose as much. I'll go into the totals shortly. But yeah, I don't know. Today was better. And I think the good news right now after 2 days is that I'm physically tired. After 11 hours day 1, 10 hours day 2, but I'm not poker tired. Like, I don't want to stop playing poker. I'm not getting tired of clicking poker buttons. So yeah, I'd say fatigue is quite low, at least for my poker brain, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm just excited to keep playing and give it another shot tomorrow. Let's go over the totals though. Let's do it. So day 2 in the books, the buy-ins were around what I expected them to be, 45.76, cashes 3,167. So yeah, a losing day again, but not nearly as severe as yesterday, and definitely had more promise out there. Number of tournaments for the day, 39, and day 2s, we did secure one day 2 for later this month in the 109 mystery bounty. All right, I'm not super feeling looking at more poker hands here, but let's do one study hand from the session. Just kicked off my day. This is the 525 bounty. Queen Jack suited, we're 100 big blinds deep. Deep stacked super early. Sitting in the cutoff against under the gun. And they raised, I called. So this is where we're at. King, Queen 10 flop. I have the Queen Jack of spades. So I have middle pair, open-ended flush draw. I mean, just a beautiful flop. Small bet on the flop. Actually, sorry. As you can see, there's, their range is just doing really well on this board. They're supposed to just mainly bet. I mean, it's 80% small betting. You could probably just bet your range if you wanted to. But that is what they go for. They go for a small bet. Queen Jack suited. Now, looking at this, I do think I would probably miss some of these raises. The Queen Jack suited, the Jack 10 suited, pocket jacks, pocket 10s. Like, I think I'm probably playing a little bit more call than I should with some of these hands, but it's still like, it's only 10% raising. The majority of our range wants to call. You could probably also get away with not raising much on these boards, and that's kind of how I tend to play, but maybe I am missing some clear value. You can see Ace Jack really wants to put in a raise. However, Queen Jack suited, mainly calling. And the turn was a brick.
which is already kind of annoying, but. Turn was a brick. My opponent then bets big. It was around 75% pot, that's about right. They're starting to check a lot of hands. Doing a lot of checking with Queen 10, which is 2-pair. Checking Ace King a lot. I don't find that surprising. I think people would start to mix in checks with Ace King, some Queen 10s. Like, you're losing to a lot of hands still. So a little bit of pot control. Hands like King Jack and King 10 are checking a lot. King 9. I think this is pretty realistic. And then, you know, doing a lot of bluffing with flush draws and just betting a lot of strong hands as well. Some sets, King Queen, top 2-pair, Ace Jack's doing a lot of betting. So they go for the big bet. Now we just want to continue to do a lot of calling. Our opponent's range is really strong when they bet. We don't have too many hands that want to play for stacks right away. Ace Jack, you can see, does want to just kind of build this pot really quickly, but Queen Jack suited is just a call. Trying to improve on the river. And do we hit a royal? No, we don't. The board pairs, and we brick. So our opponent still wants to keep checking half their range, and then they're kind of doing a split between some bigger betting and some blocking. And in game, my opponent went for the block, and I think just Queen Jack is a really awkward hand here. Like, it's kind of good, but most of what was good about it was its potential to make trips, make a straight, make a flush, and now I'm just against a strong range. Triple barreling from under the gun, and it's a small river bet, but you know, if we think about the hands that want to block, it's King X, it's like maybe Ace Queen, it's maybe some traps, maybe Jack 9, Ace Jack, I don't know. It's not really, like, I'm not feeling like it's Jack 10 going for the block, you know? So like, how good is calling? And why I saved the hand originally is because I wanted to know if I should, what I should be bluffing with here. Because I was starting to think like, oh, I block some boats, I block Ace Jack, and my hand is not very good as a call. So, you know, maybe I should bluff, right? I mean, this sim has 0 bluffing with Queen Jack. It does have some bluffing with Queen 10, really just like blocking all the boats. King 6, so you're just calling King 9 and King Jack, which is trips, strong trips, but you are shoving King 6, I think, as a bluff. Like, I don't know, I feel like that makes sense. Like, I think like King Jack, King 9 calling, King 6 shoving, it just, I don't know, maybe the blockers work out. I'm pretty sure that's a bluff. 10-8 doing some bluffing, blocking the boat just with the missed flush draw. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I didn't go for this bluff, I guess. But it also says I should have called, and I actually did end up folding here on the river. So I'm not really sure how good or bad that is. Yeah, so I mean, the call is okay. It does okay. Now I think the last thing to look at here is what is blocking? Like, how realistic do we think this range is? And we can see the hands that are blocking here. Aces, kings, ace king, ace jack, king queen, king 10, king 9, jack 9. These are all value hands that beat queen jack. These are straights and trips. Now the other blocks come from missed flush draw, 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 missed flush draw. So I think if they're not bluffing any of those, it's an easy fold, because the rest of the blocking range, we just we lose to it all, every single part of it. However, I do actually think that it's somewhat realistic to see all this, and I could see, you know, if somebody's bluffing 7-8 suited, just going for a river block, targeting my ace-high flush draws, targeting maybe some sticky 10x that can fold. I actually do think that's pretty realistic. So I do think these missed flush draws can go small. If not, I think folding is pretty good. It's already somewhat marginal to call the river, so I'm glad we just didn't do anything weird or stupid on this river, and yeah.
Takeaways from that, I would say, are that if I'm against a recreational player, it's okay to fast play some of these strong hands on the flop and the turn. I'm probably playing a little bit too call happy, and I can probably start to build a pot with some value, and I'm not doing that. River bluffs in that kind of spot are really going to revolve around the boats. I mean, the bluff came from the queen and the 10. The queen 10, it came from a weak trips, which is a pretty fancy bluff. And then like maybe a missed flush draw with one of the boat pairs. All right, so I'm gonna do 3 chips. I'm gonna do 2 foam balls and 1 real golf ball, okay? And listen, I have a weird chipping grip. But listen, I'm onto something actually pretty genius with my chipping, so if you guys struggle with your chipping, don't knock this. Don't knock it till you try it. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, 3 balls, no edits. In the pouches. Oh. Top shelf. Go 2 for 2 top shelf. That was middle. 3 for 3. Let's try not to hit the wall. I got scared with the real golf ball. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching episode 2. That was a lot of poker talk today, another long session. You know, I was kind of hoping that these vlogs would be a little bit more dynamic, you know, less screen recording and more just stuff that I'm up to throughout the day, but it's been all poker, man. It's been all poker, so I hope you guys have been enjoying it. Another episode coming tomorrow, don't you worry. Take care. See you tomorrow.